Rolls-Royce Ghost, and the devil in this one really is in the detail. So why don't we have a walk around the car and you can pick out the bits that show us your madness. All right, well, let's start at the front. You've relaxed the formality a little bit on the Ghost, I think.
Yeah, I think for Ghost, us was always the minimalist within the range, if that makes sense. So Cullinan has a more rugged personality. Phantom is a more grand statement, but Ghost, I think this is part of its timelessness, is actually that self-assured confidence to it, let's say. So we've done that by, one, in the proportion. It's actually speaking to you more because it's physically wider. But also we've just tried to really, really reduce any visual clutter that you can focus on the really, really nice parts. So the Spirit of Ecstasy here, there's no shut lines around her, there's no additional bright work. And to do that, actually, when you open the bonnet, you'll notice the bonnet has a little window in that has to be perfectly sized to sit neatly over the top of her. There's a huge amount of work goes there that you can then focus on her sitting in this lake of clean bonnet.
The lake of bonnet, I like that.
The grille we've illuminated for the first time.
I can see that, yeah.
So it's actually really subtle, but we wanted to have day and night that's immediate Rolls-Royce presence. We found initially it was actually too overt because this polished stainless steel grille was, as you can imagine, with lighting on it, so reflective. So actually what we have to do is matte the back of every single one of these bars. You just get that ambient glow.
So how have you reworked the light signature in the Ghost?
Yeah, we wanted to give it this slightly more assertive character to the current Ghost. So I think when you look at the car, she really looks back at you. And part of that's actually these precise lines that actually take your eye to the full width of the car. So you've got this focal point, like a human has a pupil that you look at. We're trying to create the same thing in the eyes.
Henry, shut lines aren't particularly sexy. For those of you who don't know what they are, here's one here. It's where the panels intersect, basically.
Yep, exactly.
And they're a bit of a nightmare for you, aren't they? But you can see by looking across this car, you've pretty much eliminated the problem.
Yeah, so we either have to place them in such a way that you won't read them, it doesn't stop your eye flowing along the car. So this one actually neatly picks up on a reference within the headlamp, and others actually we've physically removed. So now you can read from the A pillar all the way back to the rear lamp, where the rear lamp is just set in a one sheet of metal. And we do that because we hand weld and hand finish the roof to the pillar on every corner. And being an aluminium car, it means you have to weld and finish those at the same time so the heat doesn't distort anything. So you've got 4 people working in harmony to create it. I think that's the big thing when we're working on a Rolls-Royce is you want that macro gesture to be right. So it doesn't look like you've overstyled anything in any way. It should look effortless when you read it.
Henry, we just stood right behind the car. The thing I noticed immediately was really surprising amount of rear tyre visible, that sort of planted stance.
Yeah, exactly. We call it tapering, actually. So all of the lines are tapered to that visual point. So when you stand there, the shoulder lines, all of the lines from the roof, and even, yeah, like you say, the area behind the tyre, everything is drawn in, and it creates that sense of movement, also lightness. Actually, we're trying to visually take weight out of the car, that it has that feeling of gliding Rolls-Royce even when you look at it.
The surrounding area is so pure and simplified. Yeah. And then you've got this sort of dazzling element.
Yeah, it's exactly the same as the Spirit of Ecstasy on the bonnet. You've got a huge, clean canvas and then one focal point. So there's no shut lines intersecting the lamp. It's purely placed. It's an element in its own right, placed into a giant, clean surface.
Sure, and I wouldn't normally do this, but let's have a look in the boot. Not so much for how much space is in there, but the hinges. Even normally it would just be plastic, but body-coloured. Nice. Proper, right. Let's go and have a look inside. What should a post-opulent Rolls-Royce Ghost feel like inside?
It should relax you. It should be in the middle of a hectic day or hectic things in people's heads. It should be, you sit in it and you feel relaxed. And I think part of that is the huge amount of acoustic work that's gone here, that it is physically very, very quiet, but also visually we've tried to move away buttons, move away in-your-face technology. That is, what is there feels, one, intuitive, and also it's, authentic materials.
I could just play with that little...
And these ones are great, because these are polished stainless steel, and actually they feel weighty and metal, and they move in the way you think they should move.
Sure. And notably in Rolls-Royce as well, you guys still have rotary dials or knobs for the aircon and these lovely sliders. I really hate this modern insistence on pushing buttons and, the whole iPhone thing. And I think it's fascinating that in a 200 grand plus car, a super luxury car, one of the definitions of luxury is being able to do that yourself.
Yeah. It's because it feels natural. It's like if we made it overcomplicated, it would take away that calming feeling that we're trying to do.
Is there an optimum kind of détente, or whatever the word is, you know, when you turn these and you get that kind of little response, the feel, and here with the aircon thing? Have you worked out mathematically?
Yeah, somebody has to really work that out. You know, it doesn't happen by chance, any of these things, that does feel natural. I think that's the key thing. You would notice if it felt in any way clunky, and if it felt too soft, it would almost then feel imprecise. So it's that balance of everything. Mm. On the doors, we have this huge single piece of leather just that you can pick up on one tiny little detail. So it's, again, similar to the bonnet. You've got that big clean space, and then the elements that are there have been really, really carefully worked on. There's nowhere to hide stitch lines. If there's a stitch line there, you are going to read it from one side to the other. So it's to let that craft work sort of stand out, and to also let the materials breathe and stand out. So the wood is not hidden behind any kind of gloss lacquer. Actually, you can feel, and it
open
looks
pore
like,
wood, yeah.
Exactly. So it feels natural and feels, calming. And I think that's quite key to the whole interior of a Rolls-Royce.
Nothing as proletarian as a gutter in this car either, I see.
No. So with that seamless roof, we've actually had to position the window finisher one water droplet from the body.
So hang on a minute. There's someone in Rolls-Royce who measures water droplets.
Because otherwise the water would drop onto the seat. So yeah.
We couldn't have that, could we? It's good to see you again, Henry. Now listen, there's an exterior colour I want to talk to you about, so